أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Alhamdulillah. Welcome everyone. Today webinar organized by the Nigeria Northwest Student Committee under the International Open University IOU. My name is Khadija Ibrahim, the chairperson of the IOU Nigeria Northwest Student Committee. It is truly an honor to host this session today. We pray that it brings great benefit to all of us, inshallah. Our program. For those who may be new here, the International Open University is dedicated to making Islamic and academic education accessible globally. We offer a range of programs, including bachelor's, master's, and diploma programs in various disciplines, as well as short courses designed to empower students and professionals around the world. Our guest speaker, Sister Halimatu Adamu Sadiya, is a passionate educator with a strong background in biochemistry and nutrition. She holds degrees from Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, and a professional diploma in education since 2018. She has been teaching at the Kaduna State Universal Board and has been actively monitoring young girls' education since 2021. In 2025, she began tutoring 300-level nursing science education students in nutrition at ABU Distance Learning Center. A warm welcome to Sister Adamu Halima Sadiya to begin this session. Sister, the floor is yours.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Good day, everyone. I am Sadiya, Halimatu Sadiya Adamu. And before I begin, I would like to thank and appreciate the IOU Nigeria Northwest Student Committee and the management of IOU for inviting me to speak today, which is an honor for me to have this opportunity to share my thoughts with such audience. May Allah make this knowledge a beneficial one. So let's get started. Looking at the topic, I would like to start by sharing my screen. So inshallah, we will look at the topic, which is the gut-brain axis. That is to say, understanding how the gut health influences brain function. So let's look at the outline for this presentation. We are going to look at the overview of the gut, at the same time, the overview of the brain. Then we will move ahead and look at role of gut microbiomes on brain function. Then the gut-brain axis. We will also look at how the gut-brain connection works and how it affects, or how this gut-brain connection affects some of our body functions. Then we will also look at some foods that improves or that will improve gut health. Then we will also look at factors that influences the gut-brain axis. And at the same time, we will also look at the effects of gut-brain axis on cognitive function, and again, how stress affects the gut-brain axis. So these are some of the subtopics we will look at regarding the gut-brain axis. Now let's get started. The overview of the gut. The word gut refers to the normal digestive system that we know, and this digestive system is also referred to as the gastrointestinal tract. This gastrointestinal tract starts from the mouth and ends in the anus. It is a 30-foot long tube. So it is a bit long. It contains so many vital organs, such as the small intestine, the stomach, the large intestine, and some other organs like the pancreas and the bile, and also the liver too, to mention a few. Now, let's look at the role of this gut, or the role of the gastrointestinal tract. The major role of this gut is to break down the food into small components. It gives us, thereby giving us energy and nutrients. These nutrients are being absorbed into the body and also gives us energy, thereby expelling the waste products as feces. Excuse me. So apart from this major role the gut plays, the other function or the other part of this gut is that it houses a diverse community of some microorganisms. These microorganisms are called the gut microbiomes, and they too play their own role in terms of gastrointestinal balance in the body. Roles such as in digestion, immunity, and overall health by communicating with so many systems such as the nervous system, endocrine, and immune system. So in essence, we know that this gut consists or comprises of some microorganisms. There are some microorganisms that are there in our guts, and they live naturally there. They are harmless, and they tend to protect the gut from certain pathogens. So, and now each individual has a unique gut microbiome, and infants, right from delivery, an individual inherits its first gut microbiome or the microorganisms either through the delivery or through breastfeeding. Then later on, individuals' diet and other environmental exposure or even lifestyle might alter the uniqueness of an individual's microbiome. And some of these exposures can also harm and diminish the natural microbiome. Now let's look at the overview of the brain. Now, the human brain is a complex command center that receives and processes information from the sensory organs. It controls our thoughts, emotions, memory, and movement. This brain consists of billions of neurons that transmit signals to perform so many bodily functions, such as the breathing, heart rate, language, and problem solving. Now, how does this brain work? It does not work alone. It works with other parts of the body. So the brain, along with the spinal cord, forms the central nervous system. It acts as a central computer that relays messages between the brain and other parts of the body. So this is just a short overview on the brain. Now, let's look at the role of gut microbiome on brain function. If you could remember, we said this gut or the gastrointestinal tract do have some trillions of microorganisms that are naturally there. Their habitats, the gut is the natural habitat of those harmless microorganisms. So now we are going to look at the roles of this gut microbiome on brain function. Number one, which is the communication axis. How does the gut, or how does those microorganisms play a major role on brain function? We said this microbiome lives in our digestive tract. Then how do they play a role on our brain function? The first point here is communication axis. So the gut microbiome communicates with the brain and other organs through the neural, hormonal, immunological pathways. So this gut microbiomes communicates with the brain and other organs through these three pathways: the neural pathway, the immunological pathway, and the hormonal pathways. It is through these pathways that the gut microbiome can influence various bodily functions. For example, now, the gut microbiome is responsible for the production of what we refer to as the neurotransmitters. These neurotransmitters, they tend to influence our mood and mental health. Now, the next point is immune function. The microorganism or those gut microbiomes in the digestive tract tends to prevent the growth of harmful pathogens, which also play a major role in the development of intestinal immune system. So from here, we can deduce that the gut or the digestive tract tends to have its own immune system. So they play a role in preventing the growth of harmful pathogen, and also they help in the development of intestinal immune system. That is to say, they tend to strengthen the intestinal immune system, thereby regulating immune responses and also maintaining tolerance. Now, the next point under this role of gut microbiome is the metabolic impact. This role shows us that the gut microbiome can affect the metabolism of certain essential neurotransmitters like the tryptophan, which is a precursor to serotonin. This serotonin is a neurotransmitter that influences our mood and also our mental health. The gut also contains endocrine cells that release hormones, further connecting it to the brain and nervous system. Now, another role of this gut microbiome is its response to anti-inflammation. A healthy gut microbiome promotes or balances the immune responses, while an unhealthy gut microbiome may increase gut permeability, which could increase inflammatory molecules. And these inflammatory molecules could cross what we used to call as the blood-brain barrier, thereby leading to depression and anxiety. So that is how the gut microbiome plays a major role in inflammation, anti-inflammation. Then the gut microbiome also plays a role in early brain development. That is to say, during infancy and early childhood, the gut microbiome helps to shape the developing brains of the infants and babies. Now, let's look at a connection or a link that is being referred to as the gut-brain axis. So there is an extensive and constant continuous bidirectional communication between the gut and the brain, despite their spatial distance. So there is a constant communication between the digestive tract or the gastrointestinal tract and the brain. It is mediated by three systems, that is the nervous system, immune system, and the endocrine system. And also it is influenced by the gut microbiota or the gut microbiome. So this gut-brain axis is a link that links the digestive tract and the brain, and it is mediated or it is regulated by these three systems that I made mentioned. This brain-gut axis is not only required to maintain gastrointestinal balances, but also maintains the link between central cognitive and emotional centers of the brain and gastrointestinal activity. Please remember, this gastrointestinal activity or gastrointestinal tract is simply the digestive processes that takes place in our body. The gut-brain axis is made up of certain components of the central nervous system and the gastrointestinal system. These include the spinal cord with its associated nerves, the enteric nervous system, which consists of various hormones, neurotransmitters, neuropeptides, and cytokines. Now, how is this gut-brain connected? The gut-brain axis is connected via the vagus nerve. This nerve serves as a primary neural pathway for the constant communication that takes place between the gut and the brain. And any imbalances in the gut microbiota can negatively impact the brain health and leads to conditions such as anxiety and depression. Now, let's look at how the gut-brain connection works. How does it work? We know that these two distant places are being connected via a nerve, which is called the vagus nerve. But how do they work? So this connection works with the help of four pathways. The four pathways are neurological communication, microbial production of neurotransmitters, immune system interaction, and endocrine pathways. Now let's take the first one, neurological communication. This involves the constant communication between the gut and the brain. That is the constant communication between the digestive tract or the gastrointestinal tract and the brain through that nerve known as the vagus nerve. How do they keep on communicating? This nerve helps to send signals in both directions. So that's the first part that helps this gut-brain connection to work. Now, the second one is the microbial production of neurotransmitters. The gut microbiome is responsible for the production of neurotransmitters. These neurotransmitters are chemicals or hormones that are being produced by those trillions of microorganisms in our body. Then these neurotransmitters are being sent to the brain as signal in order to elicit their function. Now, the next point here is immune system interaction. This has to do with the influence on the inflammatory responses. Then endocrine system, they play their own role by producing glands or hormones that plays a vital role in stress responses. So this connection works with the aid of these four pathways. Now, let's look at the effects of the gut-brain connection on some body functions. Previous studies suggest that the constant communication between the gut and the brain may influence the following. For example, we have hunger and satiety, food preferences and cravings, food sensitivities and intolerance, gut motility, digestion, metabolism, mood, behavior, stress levels, pain sensitivity, cognitive function, and immunity, to mention few. So these are some of the effects of this gut-brain connection on body functions. Some of these body functions, some of the body functions that I made mention now, the gut-brain connection tends to affect these body functions, either by secreting some hormones or neurotransmitters. Now, let's look at the foods that improves gut health. Some of our foods are normal foods or locally available foods that will improve our gut health. A good rule of thumb to improve your gut health naturally is to eat a good variety of whole foods, emphasizing on plants, and diversifying in one's diet leads to a more diverse gut microbiome, which is also a good overall, which is good for one's overall gut health. Whole foods and plants are packed with more nutrition per calorie than processed foods. Then limiting oneself from consuming harmful additives, sweeteners, and saturated fats will also improve gut health. And again, we have foods that are rich in soluble and insoluble fiber. These fibers are mostly of plant origin. They have different kinds of fiber which can help us to keep our bowels regular and feed the helpful microbiota inside. So you see, those gut microbiomes, they tend to feed naturally on our food, which this association tends to give us a beneficial association, because these microorganisms or these gut microorganisms tend to play a major role in some of our body functions. Then we have some foods like the prebiotics and probiotics. These are live bacteria that are found in fermented foods like yogurt and sauerkraut. Then these prebiotics are the fibers and complex starches that these bacteria likes to eat. So these probiotics tends to improve the quality of the gut microbiome, while the prebiotics that are found in foods rich in fibers tends to fuel the probiotics, or tends to fuel the gut microbiomes. Then antioxidants. These occur naturally in a variety of fruits and vegetables. They help to fight against free radicals in our body and also prevent inflammation. Then we also have anti-inflammatory foods. Whole foods or diets that is rich in plant origin are naturally anti-inflammatory because they tend to reduce sugar, additives, and cholesterol, thereby keeping the gut microorganisms happy. And this will boost their ability to do their work properly in our body. Now, factors that influences the gut-brain axis. Diet now. Diet plays a major role in this gut-brain axis. Consuming foods rich in prebiotics and probiotics and also dietary fiber can promote a healthy gut microbiome, which will in turn support brain health and cognitive function. So in essence, one has to incorporate these varieties of foods in order to keep the gut microbiome in action or in play. Then the next factor that influences the gut-brain axis is stress. Chronic stress can negatively affect the gut-brain axis, which could lead to the imbalances that can impact brain function. Then lifestyle equally affects or influences the gut-brain axis. Physical activity or engaging oneself into physical activity can play a role in improving the cognitive function through the brain-gut axis, particularly in healthy individuals. Now, the effects of gut-brain axis on cognitive function. The brain-gut axis affects the cognitive function through that bidirectional communication. Remember, we said this connection is a two-way communication because it involves the brain and the gut. And it is only through the vagus nerve that this communication constantly continues, and it involves the neural, immune, and the endocrine pathways. And again, the gut microbiome also influences the brain activity by producing neurotransmitters like serotonin and short-chain fatty acids, thereby mediating neuroinflammation. An imbalance in the gut microbiota, which is referred to as dysbiosis, can negatively impact cognitive processes such as attention and memory. While a healthy gut supported by prebiotics, probiotics, and dietary fiber may improve cognitive function. Stress, as we discussed earlier, can also disrupt the activity or the function of this gut-brain axis, which could affect both the gut function and brain health. Now, how does stress affect the gut-brain axis? Now, when one experiences stress, it can cause changes in the gut microbiota. That is, there will be an imbalance in the gut microbiota, leading to an inflammation in the gut. So when there is these imbalances or inflammation in the gut, it could lead to increased intestinal permeability. That is to say, the presence of that stress or the gravity of the stress could increase intestinal permeability, thereby allowing more microorganisms to enter the gut and the blood stream. And these microorganisms, they tend to harm the natural biota of the gut, and this can trigger inflammatory responses. Then hormonal and neural signals. Hormonal and neural signals. After the leak or the intestinal permeability and the presence of other metabolites in the bloodstream, this inflammation could cause signals and can activate that vagus nerve, which is the major link that links the brain and the gut. So this presence of these metabolites in the bloodstream could activate the HPA axis. This HPA axis is known as the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. So the stress would directly activate this axis and releases a hormone known as the cortisol, or the stress hormone. This stress hormone can further affect the gut function and increase inflammation. So as we said earlier, foods rich in probiotics like the fermented products such as yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, and kimchi, and foods rich in prebiotics of plant origin are strongly advised in order to improve gut health. So with this, I have come to the end of this presentation. Thank you for your time and patience.
Jazakallah khairan, Sister Halimatu, for sharing valuable insight with us. We are truly grateful for your time and effort. Now we will move on to the Q&A session for those watching us live on YouTube. Please drop your question in the comment section. We will present them to the Sister Halimatu Saidia, inshallah. Sister Halimatu Saidia, we have 3 questions here. Number 1 question is, which foods or dietary patterns have the most positive impact on gut health, and consequently brain function?
Please, can you go over it again? Which of the...
The first question is, which foods or dietary patterns have the most positive impact on gut health, and consequently brain function.
Okay, sorry. Let me answer this question. Like I said, some of the foods that improves the gut health are the prebiotics and the probiotics. These prebiotics are usually plant origin, yes, and the probiotics are the fermented foods like the yogurt and sauerkraut and kimchi. They are mostly of fermented products. So this tends to improve the quality of the gut microorganisms. Then processed foods or sweeteners or artificial sweeteners tends to reduce the efficiency of these gut microorganisms in our body. So I have answered this question. Okay.
MashaAllah, the next question is, how harmful are processed foods and excessive sugar intake for the gut-brain connection?
You said how harmful is
processed food
and
excessive sugar.
Excessive, okay.
Sugar intake for the gut-brain connection.
Okay. So the consumption of excessive sugar or processed foods tends to reduce the quality of these gut microorganisms, thereby leading to or affecting or influencing the brain function.
MashaAllah. The third one is, how can intermittent fasting improve gut health and mental clarity?
How can intermittent fasting
improve gut health and mental clarity?
Improves gut health
and mental clarity.
Okay.
Mental clarity.
Yes. Intermittent fasting is also good and it improves gut health. Intermittent fasting is just like you are giving your body the chance to improve on its own without putting more stress on the body. And also, again, the process when one is fasting or involves himself in an intermittent fasting, the body tends to flush all those toxins because our lifestyle now tends to shift more on sedentary lifestyle, and also tends to the body normally, or the lifestyle now normally changes to consumption of highly processed foods or artificial sweeteners. So when one involves in intermittent fasting, it will also improve the gut health and influences the brain function. That is what I can say regarding this question.
Our last question here is that, what lifestyle changes would you recommend to maintain a healthy gut-brain connection long term?
So what lifestyle will I recommend to a person? So
let me repeat the question. What lifestyle changes will you recommend to maintain a healthy gut-brain connection long term?
Okay. So an individual should focus on consuming foods that are rich in those foods that I said earlier, the prebiotics, probiotics, and an individual should reduce the consumption of processed foods, consumption of foods that contains artificial sweeteners, and also one can involve himself in an intermittent fasting.
Jazakillah khairan once again, Sister Halima to Saidia. Before we conclude, I would like to sincerely thank each and every one of you for joining us today. Your presence means a lot, and we hope this session has been beneficial and inspiring. Inshallah, biiznillah. Jazakum Allahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.
Jazakum Allahu khairan.
Wa iyyakum.
Okay, sisters, Jazakallah.